So
Who
guys,
knows
we're
there?
live.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
So hi
that's
everyone.
second.
Welcome to Ask Me Anything session with two of our experts. We have Aisha Bendu from Cisco. Aisha Bendu is a system engineer at Cisco, while Innocent Amadi is a software engineer with Andela. So they are experts for today. So we're taking questions already asked on the question board. So if you have any question, please, I'm posting a link now in the comment side, so you can always ask there. Oh, so questions. We have. Give me a minute. So Samuel Tomsey asked the question. Experts. The question goes like this. He said, even after taking the responsive web design courses, I still find it difficult to write CSS from scratch. Any suggestions on what to do to improve?
Okay, I'll quickly jump in there. So most of the time, the courses you take are meant to emphasize principles, right? They're meant to push theories. You only get better in coding by coding, right? So it's left on you to try to look for examples, to try to look for projects, those hello worlds, to just apply whatever theories or principles you have. So the more you actively seek out opportunities to apply them, the better you get. So the courses have done their part by exposing you to those principles. Now you do your part to take that step forward by seeking those opportunities.
Can I just add to that? To what Innocent? So I feel like we're now also in the era where you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And anything you're trying to do, someone else has done it before. So, you might not have to build CSS templates from scratch, but I'm sure you can leverage existing CSS templates and you could, just keep on tweaking and editing till you get, your desired result. So you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to start from scratch. The best is actually looking for a template and you can build on, look for a template which you can build on or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can focus on the problem you want to solve as opposed to like things that the templates have already solved. Great point, Aisha.
Exactly.
So thank you very much. So our next question comes from Sam Ulabi, and he asks that okay, with the number.
I lost that question.
For a particular project.
You may want to take that again a while.
Could you repeat it? Yeah, because I didn't get that.
Okay, so Sam Olabi asked, he said, with the number of programming languages and frameworks available for web development, how do you decide which one is best or suitable for a particular project?
How do you define which is best? So there are three major things, right? The first is the nature of the project. Okay, what would you want to do with the project? Is it something that would hold more of like backend logic? By backend logic, I mean it's going to be taking processes people would not see, but would be supporting like existing business processes, or would it be something that is more human facing, right? Would that system be dealing more with interaction with itself, or will it be talking to other different systems, right? That are different, they're just not in itself. I'm trying as much as possible to avoid technical terms here. If you have a system that is monolithic, a system that just talks to itself, it would probably require there are languages that are suited for that. If you have a system that is going to be microservice, that's like it's going to be talking to other systems away, there's languages that are like very attuned to that. If your system is going to be like human facing, there are frameworks that are very attuned to that. All right. Now, if you're looking forward to learn as a web developer, then chances are you're looking for more human-facing frameworks. And if that is the case, then the biggest decider really is how easy is it to get up to speed on that? Two, what's the support for that framework? By support, I mean community support. If you run into troubles, how quickly can you get solutions to it? And three, which is like the decider of how long that framework really stays, who is backing the framework? So, like React is not like React right now because it's the best framework ever. If you've ever used Vue is like literally very light, much lighter, right? And the other better frameworks will because like Facebook is behind it, PWA Google is behind it, right? But here design came to hit because Google is behind it. So yes, a big decider is who's behind it in the market. So nature of the project, what you want to do, community support, and like the framework backing. Because when you want to choose a framework, especially in I'm putting this in the sense of you building something that you want to stay past 2 to 3 years, right? You don't want if down the line you have to overhaul your system just because of the framework is not allowing you to go as fast as you want, right? You have a business problem to solve. The framework is just a tool. You don't want it to like slow you down or something. Does that answer that question, or did I go away from the points?
Yeah, I think it did. Touched all the points.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Innocent. It was right on point. So in summary, so a framework or programming language of choice depends on what you're building, like how long it has been, who supports it, and is it going to solve your problem efficiently?
Yep.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So the next question. So it's the same Sam. Sam still asks, as an expert in web development, do you have a background in computer sciences? And what is it like? What's the journey like if you don't have a background in computer science?
So unfortunately, I do have a degree in computer engineering. Now, why I said unfortunately is that once I said this, people are like, oh yeah, that's why you're just far. But no, I assure you, it has nothing. I feel like every single thing I learned on my field, like I learned none of them in school, like literally none. None. I can say none. I can stand in front of my head of departments right now and say none. Right from my 200 level, I okay, yeah, that counts, I guess. Okay, I can't say none. I learned Fortran. Fortran was very helpful moving forward. I solved all my problems with Fortran.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Of course, from 200 level, I knew, like, I had looked at the syllabus from 200 level down to 500 level. Engineering is a 5-year course, and I saw nothing in the line of where I wanted to go. I wanted to like deep into software engineering, and nothing was helping. So that was when I created my own curriculum, and the curriculum I created was from go online. There are lots of resources that tell you how to move from point A to point B in like whatever chosen field you want to be, especially in computer science. Right? People have taken time to craft out detailed roadmap plans, curriculums on like what you need to know. Basically, I don't have a list off my head right now, but it's something we could always put up if you need it. But I think a quick Google will give you like a zillion answers, especially on Quora. Right now, the one thing that you don't get why being a software developer that you get in school is a discipline to actually follow through a curriculum. Very little is the problem knowing the curriculum to follow. More of the time is usually a person starts a course and falls in between. One of the huge success of the ALC is the fact that you're able to have like over 50% completion rate in Udacity, right? Even Udacity was surprised because most software developers start courses in the program and they have like less than 10% completion rates because people just get busy with life. School would not let you. So you need that discipline to, once you have like something you need to follow through. Now, the great thing about this particular field we are in is I've never seen a field that disregards degrees as much as tech, right? Like literally, like as long as you have proof that you can do what you say you can do, people would give you a chance. I have never seen a point where somebody was turned back because they didn't have a computer science degree, even after proving that they're capable of doing so. I just haven't seen yet. So I don't think a degree would stop you. I think you need the disciplines to put up the curriculum to get from point A being where you are to point B where you want to be, follow through with those learning programs, and be able to present proof that you've known it at the end of the day. Everybody will listen.
Yeah, and I mean, if I could just touch on that, I mean, I studied information technology in uni. It wasn't exactly computer engineering or computer science. It has a bit of, you know, the computing and a bit of the business and project management bit. But I know that my interest, you know, starting from web development and moving on to data science, and now being some sort of network programmability engineer, is that I didn't get that from university. I had that interest I developed when, you know, I came out of university and I was, you know, interested, you know, in this other world. But having said that, I also help organize Django Girls. I don't know if you've heard of them, but, you know, we teach people, teach women actually how to code using Python and Django. Django is another web framework, if you haven't heard about it. But what I know is there's actually a girl right now that I would say is a very, very valid example. Her name is Andela, and she literally studied lab science in university. She now works as a software developer for Andela. So just letting you know that, you know, having a degree could help, but is not the criteria. And so many countless people have done. I've gone on to be developers without having any sort of science background. You know, people that are studying law, people doing, you know, accounting, even doctors. You know, I've seen, you know, students in medicine, you know, come to learn how to program and learn how to code, because, you know, the skills that you have is not just specific to being a web developer. It's applicable in as many domains as possible. An accountant would probably say, okay, I'm learning how to code because I want to build some sort of amazing platform that does, you know, on-demand accounting service to companies. You know, even a fashion designer is learning how to code so that she can put her business online without having to pay a developer to build her website. So the skills that you're learning, being a web developer is definitely the core of what you're trying to do, but it's obtainable or it's usable anywhere else. And whether or not you have, a programming background or not, you can learn it. It's something that you can learn. Like, Innocent says, it's all about the discipline to actually follow through that learning. If you haven't, been through that part before, it should take a lot more effort to try to understand the concepts, the terminologies, than someone who maybe already had a computer science or an IT background, to understand. So it's a bit of that extra effort you need to put in, but it's definitely not the criteria whatsoever. Definitely not. There is nothing the human brain cannot learn, cannot assimilate, and cannot do. The possibilities are endless. So do not limit yourself. Do not let your degree limit. Even people who did not go to university, they probably they only know how to read and write, and they got that education from secondary school, are amazing developers and doing great things. And it's not a criteria, basically. To cut the long story short.
That's amazing touch there. Just let's just end on that note. That was great.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you very much. If I have to add up to this, so I also didn't have a computer science degree. I studied microbiology, but then I'm actually not an expert, but I do a lot of web development. I used to do Android, and so it never actually matter what you studied. I served as a software engineer during NYSC, of which was I'm supposed to be serving in a hospital, but instead I served as a software engineer somewhere in a company in Lagos. And so nobody even asked me, hey, what did you study? Like, never. It never happened. Not in the camp, not when I was serving, not after I finished serving. So it doesn't actually count. So moving to the next question. Okay, so the same Sam. So Sam has a lot of questions for you. Sam asked.
Hi, Sam.
Sam was like, how did you get your first big or major job in web development? So,
So
Let's end
big
up.
is relative. There is big size of project and big the amount of money that came after the project. So I don't know which Sam means, but I would take both.
Yeah, that's the
The
best choice.
the biggest project I got when I was in okay, not the biggest, the first big project I got when I was in 400 level. And that was because, so I said my journey, like personal journey by 200 level. So by 300 level, I was helping people in the 500 level, do a bit of the project here and there. And then by 400 level, I'd gone on IT, and then everybody's like name has spread, the boy is big. And then suddenly I get this call from the school and from department, people in 500 level. So they're teamed together in a group, and they had like this really large software. Those in civil engineering, right? They had a number of things that they wanted to a lot of processes they wanted to become automated, right? And they wanted a single software to handle them. And then by the time they finished explaining it, I knew it was definitely out of my jurisdiction, way out of my jurisdiction, right? But that's it's in Nigeria now, general merchandise, anything. Well, if the money is good. Well, I took the project. I took the project. Let's say about 4 months later, we came out with something. It was pretty. I can't say whether it works or not, but it was enough to put my name up in the department, right? Such that by after that project, the project that's if when I'm counting my projects, I usually count that as a failure, right? Because it did hit at all my personal targets. It wowed those in the department. It was not at all what I expected. But that failure, per se, set the pace for me personally. Because like by 500 level, I was doing jobs for lecturers, right? And then I had one steady lecturer in mechanical engineering who the big bucks started rolling from. So he was doing his PhD, and I was literally his go-to software engineer. I did like handled every single mechanical engineering thing. So yes, I'm not sure what this question is trying to get out. But just answering it that way. I'm not sure what Sam is trying to learn from this question, but just answering it that way. Yes. I didn't wait for any time to say I'm ready. As the opportunity came, I just caught it and failed at some, did well at some, kept going.
Oh, nice. So, Aisha, are you willing to add something?
Well, so I'm not a practicing web developer, so I'm not an expert yet. But the first project I did, the first web development project I did, that was before I even realized or knew that I wanted to go into the tech world. When I left school, I started out with wanting to do makeup, being a makeup artist and doing hair and stuff. So the first web development project I did was for myself or for my business at that time to, put my business out there online and to have a website and do stuff. And, that made me a lot of money, to be frank. I used the money to support myself, even when I went for uni, which was part of branding, but I don't know if that qualified as a gig because it was a self gig and I was paying myself because as at then it was a big deal, or people start seriously when you have a business and when it's online. And even the whole concept of online business wasn't so much as a big deal as it is now with all the Konga and Jumia. So my first gig was for myself, making my money. So I don't know if that qualifies, but I hope I hope that helps.
Definitely qualifies. Big motivation. Yeah. Sorry, God. Awesome.
So that was actually cool. At least you paid yourself now. Like it's still having money one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't actually give someone else. You worked on it and paid yourself.
Yeah, she had a problem. She learned skills to solve a problem. She solved a problem. It made her the money. She paid herself. That's the perfect loop. That's just the perfect loop.
Thank you.
So, okay, moving to the next question. Okay, Sam is also here for you. Again.
Wow.
So,
are you sure Sam is not taking up the space for every other person?
Yeah.
No, I think we still have a bit of space to join to answer some questions. So, the next question is Sam is asking, which is better, a freelance web developer or an employee for an organization? So which one do you think is best? You want to take gigs or you want to be in a salary scheme?
Innocent, go first, please.
Okay, so because there is a super high demand for developers with skills now, and I tell you, because I know, I get at least 3 offers in 1 week. It's crazy. It's tempting to just hit freelance, get started. But I would advise anybody who's just starting out in the field, find a structured environment. Train a team with rules, with guidelines, with principle, with people better than you. Why? Because those people would teach you the discipline of the field. Now, with freelancing, you could get most of the time you don't have a person who's technical contracting you. Hell, if they were technical, they might not need you, right? It's people who are not in the field. So you can afford to pull up something fancy and then it works. But like under the hood is just a really messy zone. Just threw numbers out there, just however, just it works. You're not maintaining it. Nobody's maintaining it. Nobody's checking. Nobody's reviewing anybody's code. Yeah, everybody's fine. Let's just go, right? Why you get QuickBooks that way, you never grow professionally, and you find yourself always being out of place in formal environments, right? In like the conferences and the seminars among developers who actually know their stuff, you won't be able to say anything, right? So I would say if you want to start off your career, find a structured environment, find that place with people who would like keep you in check, give rules, let you know. You could grow to a stage that you can then decide to freelance. It's fine, right? You've learned the basics, decide to freelance, then it's very fine. But I would never recommend starting off solely like on freelance. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree too. Yeah, but ultimately, I feel like, where the biggest money is being a freelance developer. But you better off starting off, working for a controlled environment where they have standards and they have processes, and it just definitely helps you with the quality of work you output, even when you then become a freelance. And I think it helps you to so that what your value and your worth is in the industry, and as opposed to when you go out and become, start your own business and be a freelancer, as an example.
Exactly.
So that was nice. That was nice. So I would actually want to give my own opinion on this. So let's just keep to the next question.
You should give your own opinion.
So okay. So I actually had a stint as an employee for an organization, and I had a very, very terrible experience. So it made me think twice. Every single day I feel like taking up a job. And then so I somehow prefer to be a freelance developer for just so that I won't face the issue I had then. But I still feel being an employee of an organization has its good. So like I learned a lot in the settings. Being a freelance, most of the times you work alone in the project, and then you don't tend to learn other people's style of coding. You don't tend to learn about best practices from others. So like it actually pays. Join an organization. If you think you're good enough, you think you're very, very good enough, you can then probably
Yes.
quit and then be freelance.
And I feel like you just touched a very important point, Awal, which is like, what sort of tradition is acceptable for you when you're trying to start off a career? So starting off a career is a very important phase because you don't know what's right, you don't know what's wrong. You're kind of like clay that has never been molded. So you really need good potters. I would say at that phase, it's much better you volunteer for an organized organization, right? That would push you the right track than to take big bucks for people who are disorganized and who will make you confused about both yourself and your career, right? So yes, I think choosing the right organization. And I was asking somebody the other day, we don't have a glass door for Nigeria in companies, which is really terrible. I don't know.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's like really terrible. So people have no clue how good or bad an organization is before they like sign contracts and find themselves in. It's really crazy. Developers, you guys should change that. You guys.
Inclusive.
So yeah, including you saying
Yeah, it's the person that called police first likes to win the case. So.
Okay, nice. Okay, so next question, and I think that's the last question from Sam. So Sam asks, as an expert, do you need to be proficient in front end and back end tools before you can be pronounced as an expert, like pronounced as one? Or what does it require to be an expert developer? So it's up to you, experts.
You want to take this one a while before?
No.
No.
Okay.
I definitely prefer to answer last.
So, the very definition of the word experts says a person who knows a lot about one field. There is no such thing about a general expert, and that's one mistake we make around this part of the world. I can know. I know about Python, about Go, I know about Lang, and about Scalar. Yeah, yes, I have used those things. I've touched on Vue, or I've touched on Rails. Yes, you should experiment with different things, right? Yes, that's how you maintain relevance and know how best to make better. You just make better decisions with the more options you know. Yes, but if you want to become an expert, you have to really deep dive down in one thing. If you're speaking about like backend frameworks, if it's not Ruby and Ruby on Rails, I'm sorry, I'm not talking with you. If like when it comes right down, if it's not like React on the front end, right, and like JavaScript, I'm not talking with you once it starts going really deep. Those are the two areas I know this. I'm going. Very recently, I started learning data science, but you won't see me in data science panels definitely until like a year from now or two. Yes, because there is no such thing again. I repeat, as an expert who knows everything. So if you want to be an expert, you have to choose one thing and deep dive. Now, the great thing about this, again, this field is the fact that once you become an expert in one thing, people respect your opinions across board. Because if you can take the discipline to go down and learn the principles behind why languages make the kind of constructs they make, right, then it's really easy to take that and like push it across different languages, different frameworks, and then they just basically respect your opinion. So find one thing, go deep before you go wide.
So
Seconded. I don't even know what to add to that because it's the topic experts can be subjective because it really depends on what and on the how. So it's usually I don't know. I don't think that would be as in currently now that you're learning. Don't try to worry or bother yourself too much about becoming an expert because the funny thing is that that there are some languages like I personally do not like Java. Like you could not put a gun to my head and tell me to code anything in Java. Give me Python, then you're speaking my language. It doesn't mean I'm an expert, but you as you grow in the field, you tend to know what you like and what you don't like, which is something very important when you're working on a project because it's normal that the programming concept is the same, but how you would execute a function in JavaScript is different from how you execute a function in Python, for example. And doing something that you're adept to, you're comfortable with, and you're more attuned to learn more specifically in that area has to come from the fact that you actually like, you like that specific area or you like that specific language, or maybe it's something about, it might not even be the language, it might just be that you like the community and, that's what has drawn you, to being an expert in that specific field. But I don't think it's something that you should try to worry about yourself too much because it will come. You on your own will know when it's time and when you feel like, okay, this is something I'm very interested in and I want to dive, deep into.
Yeah. Amazing. One thing I should add again is the fact that it gets to a level of experience when you're studying experienced folks that you speak less of like languages and syntaxes and constructs and start speaking more of like architecture and algorithms and like places. So the things that form like the bedrock of computer science, that's what like you still come back to and you have to go deep in. So the great thing about doing that in one language, there's no such thing as design principles across board. There is design principles as it is, right? But right after mentioning like single responsibility, you have to pick a language you want to apply it in. You have to pick a language you want to think in, because different language requires thoughts in different ways. So know your languages. Sorry, know which particular language framework you're going to go like deep in and become like really good in, and then know those core computer science foundation I just mentioned, like architecture, design principles, algorithms, data structures, things like that. Yeah.
So thank you very much, guys. So I don't need to add anything because I'm taking time. But then I always try to make people understand. Being an expert in something means spending. I think the definition says spending 10,000
hours
on a specific thing.
One thing.
Which means you don't necessarily need to know many things to be an expert. You just need to know one thing and know it very, very well, and then you can pronounce yourself expert. It's up to you. There are many experts. Some people carry expert on their head like Gala in Lagos. So
Yeah.
it's up to you.
Please, respect Gala, please. Just saved a lot of life back in the day.
1901.
So, okay, Aisha, you have a specific question. Chioma asked a specific question to you. She was specific. So,
okay.
She says she's having serious issues applying what she has learned, and she understands the concept, but she can't seem to apply it. Have you ever had this issue, and how did you scale through?
Yes, like that is every day of my life, I guess. But to be more specific, I think what helps me is, or what could help is find a project. Maybe find a project or find someone. And I don't know if mentorship is a big part of this Andela learning community, but the best way to to go forward when it seems like, okay, I know, like I had the problem initially where I know concept, like I could take a code, like I don't know, 100 lines of code, I could read through it and I could tell you what it does. But to tell me to now sit down and now write one line of that is not print or if else, of course, like to learn and to like write something, I begin to be like, oh well, like I understand what it does, but do I really need to write it if I can just copy and paste and just tweak it? Like, so yeah, so I understand the challenge, and the best thing is work with someone, a mentor preferably that's is in the field, and so they know you, they have an idea of what you've been going through in terms of the things that you've been learning, and they would easily point you to maybe a specific project where they see that your skills that is friendly to begin with, or to begin to contribute to bag it up. So it could be their project, it could be they know someone else working on the project. And sometimes some people are not very confident in or they're afraid of castigation and say, oh, like who writes a statement like this, who writes a function like this, like who thinks like this, because programming is an art. The way I write a program is different, to do one thing, and even though you're doing the same thing, you would write it in a different way and we'll all achieve the same result, and you're probably not confident enough in your abilities. So a mentor would usually help you walk through those challenges of where to start to contribute, and maybe before you make that pull request, you're just running it by them, and that really, really helps, because yes, I've been there, and that's what helps. So I currently have 4 mentors. I have 3 mentors at work, and I have 1 mentor outside of work and life, and that's really, really been what has helped me to, like, say, stay relevant and to fight over those wanting to get started or wanting to actually contribute to a project. I don't know if that really helps. I really hope it does, but that's how I usually go through that challenge.
Don't expect me to add anything, because there's no better way to say it. Aisha just hit it like exactly on the head. That's it. Just find somebody, pull somebody beside and say, see you, I don't understand how to get this. And then they would help you out. Like, she just explained it as great. I think I don't know if there's going to be anything about mentorship, but this just struck me because I get a lot of inboxes, people saying like, hi, I like what you do, I've seen your work, I want you to be my mentor. Nobody ever listens to those messages. Those messages are, it is not even being snobby, it's just like the people you really want to hear from are truly busy. They have things to do, right? You don't start the conversations like that. You have a problem, you have a definite problem. Tell me that problem. Hi, I like what you do. Fine. I'm having this issue, React. I'm doing this. Oh, I'm linked to PWA. I have XYZ problem. Yes, then I can read it and get engaged immediately to help you. Not like, I like you to be my mentor. Okay, yes. So should we start dancing now? So yeah, that was just like, by the way, just
yeah, I think like whatever mentorship, whichever mentor you choose, there has to be, you need to know that you're the one that would drive that relationship. You know, they probably have other mentees, and you know, life is life. Like, you know, they have an 8 to 5, or they have jobs that they need to deliver on, and they might not be available 24/7 when you need them. You know, but the idea of mentorship is, you know, you might have a problem and it's not something I know, but the idea is I can, you know, I know enough people to bug on your behalf that somebody needs help on this specific thing that I have no clue about, because you can't know everything, no matter how, even experts are still learning every day. Like, you know, that's why the whole concept of experts just gets me, because you are learning every single second of the minute, especially in our domain.
Sure.
And, you know, the idea is that if you have a mentor, they might seem like, you know, fairly intermediate in the field. They don't have to be experts. They might just, you know, have been doing that same thing, you know, for a couple of years. And, you know, you are the one that will have to drive that relationship. You know, don't ever feel like, and I think is one, you know, message I usually get. And people are like, oh, I feel like I'm bugging. Like, don't ever feel like you're bug them, please. Bug them. Send them message, send them reminders. You know how they say it's like, you know, if you keep coming, eventually you get what you want. It just might be that might not have been a good time, or they have other, they just had something else they're doing. And don't just give up. Just, you know, you are the one that will drive that relationship. And if that means that you have to send them reminders every week, you know, bug them, or like, okay, you want to have like a 30 minutes, you know, video hangout session with them. Do that. You don't ever feel like a bugger. That's why they mentor in the first place. I think everybody has a responsibility to pay it forward. You know, and I think most people, you know, for at least most people that I know and I have met, you know, they always want to help. But, you know, there's also that level of effort in helping you versus all the million things that I am obligated to do. So you just have to know that you're the one that will drive that relationship. And, you know, just don't give up, bugging as many people. And, you know, aside your mentor, you know, the beauty is there's internet, right? There's Stack Overflow. Maybe Stack Overflow is not a friendly place. I think there are other platforms, Dev Center, there is, you know, Slack. Just put your question out there. Somehow, somewhere, somehow, even on Twitter, people using Twitter, you know, putting that problem on Twitter, and somebody's like, oh, okay, you can do it that way. Many people get their problems solved on Twitter, just FYI. But just know that there are platforms, you know, the easiest is probably getting somebody that you can easily confide in, because it's a struggle, you know, knowing that maybe this is something that you should know, but you don't know and you need help with. Getting a mentor is key, but just know that there are other platforms and you have to drive the relationship.
So thank you very much. So Aisha, Innocent, will you guys be my mentor? Like, one mentor.
This is exactly what we just talked about. Here's your problem.
So like that's actually how people ask. The very moment you just finish giving talk on mentorship, somebody just wait for you to go outside and be like, "Boss, can you be my mentor?" And then okay.
So what do we do now?
I just suppose have to be like, okay, so what are you working on? Drama, and then you just get to understand that the person hasn't even started.
Yeah, so, many times, you know, you then have to send resources on Code Academy links on, you know, how to get started learning JavaScript and another book. But that's fine. You know, we all need somebody to, you know, even help us to, or motivate us to get started. But the bulk of it, the bulk of it is the you know, some people want to start, but they don't know where to start. They don't know how to. You know, the internet is huge. You're like, you just Google. You don't know which resources, you know, and you have been a beginner before, so you probably know some resources that really helped you in your journey that you can recommend to someone.
Yeah.
That's always
It,
sometimes.
it always helps. It's like, even if you're not sure, it always helps to say like, oh yeah, I'm not sure where to start. So I've been on Codecademy, I was confused. I went on Treehouse, I was confused. I went on Free Code Camp. Like, everybody wants to see the efforts you've already made. Like, it tells me that I'm not wasting my time too. I'm working on somebody that actually wants to work. We're trying to lift you up, not pull you up, right? Like, you have to make yourself easy to lift. So yes, you
Yeah.
definitely make effort on your side. And even if it's like a beginner, you're not sure, but let people see like that, oh, you're doing something, then it's easier to help you.
Yeah, I think it even goes how you would even ask technical questions in the first place. Maybe you're trying to debug, a part of your code. You need to state what the problem is and still state, the steps that you've actually taken to try to solve the problem and why it's still not working. Then someone can advise you based on that, as opposed to just say, "Hey, here's the code.
Problem.
Yeah, I have this bug. Fix it." Yeah, that's not gonna work.
So thank you guys. So it's already 12 o'clock. Sorry, it's already 1 o'clock, but since we started late, so we'll just answer three more questions and then we can call it a day. So our next question comes from Justin Philip. So he asked, this one just needs a clarification. He said he used to have this thinking. Let me just quote. I used to think the only way to truly understand the underlying principle and processes is to actually implement these things from scratch. So is he wrong?
He said he used to. I'm wondering what he's thinking now.
What he thinks now.
So for that to become a question now, that means he used to, then something changed, then is where he is now. Something is missing in the question. Yes.
So from my own, let's take an example with JavaScript. I know some people will come from my head because I said JavaScript. So like, it's a case of, okay, instead of writing React or Vue.js, he feels like it's best he writes in native JavaScript, like in vanilla JavaScript. So is he wrong? So like, is it wrong to use a framework by the language? Yeah, I think that's what.
Saying like, does it need to go from scratch to understand underlying principles? I think the answer is pretty straightforward. Yes. If you want to understand the underlying principles, then yes, there's no shortcut to it. Like, there's no way you're going to understand functional programming if you just sit on like closure frameworks, right? You have to take. So I see people who say you started JavaScript and then you're jumping into React. It's great. Up to speed, you'll be able to do something amazing. And trust me, when you're learning, any success is success, right? The fact that you're able to put up something on the screen, it's motivating. But you have to stop yourself at some point, right? After that distance, and know that yes, you know how to make this website amazing, but you don't know how the dispatcher works under the hood, right? You have no idea how Redux manages its stores. And if there are two ways now you could go from there. You either say, blah, I don't care, I can build websites, and then you go ahead, or you decide to decouple the dispatcher. And the very definition of reverse engineering is breaking down some things to its barest minimum. So if you want to really understand underlying principles, you have to go under. That's what the principles are. Yeah.
These are guys using under inside underline again.
I mean, that's what they lie under.
Like, I was just going to say, I know someone that the only way he learns about frameworks is if he goes to the source code. Like, he literally wants to see, how exactly they're implementing what is what before he even starts to use the
and we're joking about
so
this.
I think there's no shortcut.
Yeah, we're talking about this with like my teammates just like 3 days ago. So there's advancements in the field. At first, you start from like different people. You start from courses, then you go you advance to tutorials. Then you used to start Overflow to just quick answers. Then you go to documentation. It gets to point. It gets to GitHub issues. By the time you find yourself reading GitHub issues, right, and the pull request that solved the issue, right? Then you know that yes, you've gotten somewhere. It's just that I'm not saying like yes, you would always have to reference like courses and like Stack Overflow and tutorials, yes. But when you're able to add GitHub, of course, you know before you can add GitHub issues, then you should know exactly how the issue was implemented, right? So I think it's a natural thing. You just go to the process. You can start, for example, with WordPress. You do something really quickly. I'm saying it's pretty common, much more common than you think. You do something pretty quickly, hit up something, then you realize that because you've gotten to a level, you want to implement a few things. Drag and drop doesn't work again. You decide to go to functions.php. Hey, you do, and then you realize function.php is not working this time. Okay, what happened? Oh, maybe you implement your own thing. You implement your own. It's step by step. Before it knows happening, you scatter the entire WordPress and you're building your own framework, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing with every other framework you choose, right? You don't have to push it at the beginning. It's very confusing to just jump into like trying to understand underlying principles because you get bored. You think you're in the wrong career.
Frustrated.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes, but once you have done something at the surface level, you can gradually permeate to like lower surfaces. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much, Aisha and Innocent. So I think we still have a question. That question is not supposed to be asked, but so I'll just have to read it now, and I think it's targeted at you, Innocent. So the question comes from the same Justin Philip. He said, what would you say about dropping out of school where I'm doing a course that has nothing to do with the future I have a dream on and join Andela Fellowship? So
don't drop
it's a specific question for you.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Drop where? Oh, stay here. What do we drop? Drop what? So here's the thing, right? There are things that you don't just easily go back to. BSc, BNG, college degree is one of them, right? The things like that you just do and close your eyes and you've done. NYSC2 is one of them. Nobody liked it. But we just so we should do it. So we did it. Right? We knew we were going to waste 1 year. Wait, is there any government I'm going to? NYSC is like amazing. Is this great space that it's added a lot to the like we know it's going to contribute to the country. So we did it, right? It might not be our own plan, but we knew it's for the greater good. So we did it. BSc is one of them. I just told you I did a 5-year course. I can't pick up one thing I do today that okay, yeah, Fortran, of course, yes. Aisha, thank you for that. Apart from Fortran and QBasic, I can't pick up one thing else I'd say like yes, this I got from school. But there are other things you get from school which applies to you as a human being. Right? It's not like it might not like academically. It's like the social interactions, relationship with friends, how you're able to manage the the fact that lecturers don't give you what you want and still try to make out something of it. The entire grit to go through the school system makes it one of the reasons why BS is still being asked. Make no mistakes, most employers know that they don't get the knowledge that graduates don't get the knowledge they need to apply from school, but they still ask you for BSc anyway. So just want to know if you've passed through that program, right? So yes, since you're already there, stay there. No matter how terrible it is, you have like tops. I don't know how many years you're facing, but just try, and they add NYC here too because it's like great for the nation and all. Yes.
Okay, so I think on. Okay, Aisha, do you want to add something?
Can I just add something? Because I know someone that actually just recently asked me the same question. And my advice to him was, apart from the whole process of, of going through that grid, and yes, it might not be relevant, for employers to employ you. But let me tell you something. We're still in Nigeria, and employers still have that pay disparity, whether you have a degree. No, even scratch that whether you have a degree. Whether you have a BSc from a university versus if you have, what's this other degree you get from a polytechnic, HND. There's still a level of pay disparity. And you'll be surprised, but this is a reality. I mean, it's not obtainable in most other places of the world, especially not in tech. But this still exists. And there's just some things you will want to do in your life that you want to go forward in, maybe be a manager of something, or take on maybe just a freelance, and to take on a project from a government project, there are requirements. You just find out that you will now start to have unnecessary hindrances, not because of your abilities and your skills, but because there are processes that require these things to be there, regardless of whether it's it's an engineering degree or another kind of degree. But just going forward and looking at it at a holistic perspective. Yes, you might be a developer now. You might decide that you want to retire being a developer, or you might decide that you want to get to that where you have you are managing developers, or you own your own developer firms and you're getting government contracts and executing some IoT projects, and you just see that they have this long list of requirements that you need to fulfill. And you just find that there's some other things that you want to do. Take, for example, immigration. All those things are requirements. Like, they just have that. And it's just the sad fact of life. But these are things that you need to have if you don't have them. Now, it's a different thing now if you're under very different circumstances and, going to school is not possible because, obviously, first jam be like 10 times. Before the push jam, will jam another 10 times. And before you try to get school. But if you're already in it, you've already started. I'm a big believer of finish whatever you start. Just finish it. Just move so that you move on with your life. You have time. You're hopefully not going to die tomorrow, and you're not, you have time. So just do it and move on with it. And while you're in school, it doesn't mean that you cannot take on, work part-time for a company. I know many students that are working part-time for so many companies abroad, and they are still students. And whenever there is a strike or something, they're still working, they're still developing their skills, they're still working for an organization, whether it's Andela, whether it's not Andela, there will be opportunities. Like, you're in the domain where there are opportunities everywhere. So don't think in a straight line. Think big, because it's huge. It's really huge. It's bigger than Nigeria. It's bigger than, I don't know how to put it, but it's just huge. Just don't think in that straight line and just finish what you started.
Okay, so thank you very much. So we're taking our last questions. Please, if you ask any other question, probably I have to probably take it much later in the next session.
Innocent just dropped. I'm not sure. I think the network connection. Maybe you need to call him back or give him a link.
Okay, so let me just send him an invite all over again, and then I'll ask the question. So I think the question is actually not. Let me just ask the question.
Okay.
Yeah, so before Innocent joins, so Larry K asks this question. So his question was he's a CMS user, and then he knows a bit. He could do a bit of HTML and CSS, but then ELC changes perspective. So thank you very much, Larry. But then his main question here is, could he get a tip on how to develop his coding culture in PHP? So I'm world renowned for having issues with PHP. So I wouldn't be the one to answer this question.
I think that's why you should get Innocent back on this chat, because I've never done anything with PHP before, ever. I've never had any reason to want to do anything with PHP in my entire career. I've seen people write PHP and it just looked weird, but I never did anything with PHP before. So I don't know that I can answer that question.
So let's just pray Innocent gets back before Larry comes for my head. Yeah, I just send him back the link to join back. I don't know. So I just hope he sees it. Yeah, he has a link from earlier, so he should be able to join in.
The one that gave issues. The link gave some issues.
Yeah, he has the correct link. So before he comes back, I think there's a question I'm not supposed to ask here, but before he comes back, we can ask this, and that should be the last Nigeria last. So we have Goni Musa. He asked that he said he has a bad habit of procrastinating. So even when he has someone helping him, and guiding him and even mentoring him, but he always run away from that person. So how do he get away from stuff like this? Bros, so to answer, are you sure it's not from the people from the village? So I just need to be sure.
I see you. So I feel like he alone can answer that question because first of all, you need to make up your mind. I think that's the most important thing. You need to really, really make up your mind that this is something you want to do. This is something you're interested in, and I know that it's going to be a long, tiring process. And it usually helps when you actually love it, as opposed to when you're just trying to make yourself do it because other people are doing it. So if you say you have a mentor and, even when, because the idea of having a mentor is also somebody that you're accountable to. So you're accountable to your mentor, meaning that you guys had an agreement that this is what you will do and you will learn in the process. And even in that accountability, you shy away from it. I don't know. I feel like you're the only one that knows the answer to that, because it's discipline. And I think that's also one thing school teaches you, discipline. Discipline that, for example, when I was in school, you had to have a certain amount of attendance to write the exam. Maybe I think 80% to 70%. So discipline yourself to know that you might not enjoy doing something, but you have to do it. And I don't know, because my answer would have been, oh, a mentor would help you in that regard. But I think it's you. It's you have to look inwards and know and ask yourself, why are you doing this in the first place? Is it because it's something you're interested in, you're passionate about, or is it because it's the new rave and everybody's doing it, but you actually have no real passion for it? And I think, if you really, really want something, like if you really, really convinced that it's a do or die, I feel like you that this is the route you want to take, you really want something, you really want to learn this, you really want to do this, then I feel like there's enough self-motivation in you to even take you through the times where things get really hard, like really, really hard, coupled with the fact that you also have a mentor that you're accountable to. That usually would help, but I feel like you'd have to look inwards for that answer. Only you can answer that question. Only you can answer that question, because even if I start to go around things like maybe setting up a calendar, pinching yourself, setting up like reminders and notifications in your calendar, getting somebody to actually hold you accountable, someone that knows your house, open your door. Have you done that thing that you said you were going to do? I feel like it still wouldn't help. It has to really come from you. And some people have motivation. So you can either be in the category of you wanted to do something because you're passionate about it, or you wanted to do something because of external factors, which could be friends, which could be, oh, people are making money from it, so let me to go and do so I'll make money from it. So it really, really, it's really up to you at the end of the day.
Okay, so so thank you very much. Innocent, I think you're back, but then
Innocent is back, yeah.
Yes, I am back. I have no idea what happened. Yeah, apologies.
Yeah. So,
but then Aisha was holding the fort, so I was like,
it was, so
no, there was a question.
There was a question. So the question goes like this. Before I ask you the question, I need to ask you one question. Do you do PHP? Okay, do you used to do PHP?
Yeah, there are, yes. There were early hostilities.
So okay, the question was actually PHP specific. So, and myself and Aisha have histories with PHP. we don't actually want to talk about it. So the question was like, okay, the question was Larry K asked the question that he's a CMS user and he could pull through a bit of HTML and CSS. That was before joining ALC. But then now the main question is, how can you give him tips on how to develop his coding culture in PHP? He wants PHP. He doesn't want that other thing, but you could add. So we have 2 minutes for this question, and then we're off.
We don't even need 2 minutes, hopefully. To be best at anything, really, find a community of people who are experts at it and join. Simple as that. They're going to push you. You're going to see conversations that you would not have no idea about. So we force you to go and read on, right? You will see projects that would have like their source codes open, so you go and look at them and see that you don't know what they wrote there, and then you're forced to either ask question or go and read on. But the best way to like get to the level you want to get to quickly is to find a community of like PHP experts. Really, find a community of just PHP enthusiasts, PHP lovers, PHP, so just go join them. The second is look for podcasts. There's Laracasts, right, for Laravel lovers. So Usually those weekly podcasts tells you what's new, what's saucy, what's just came forth, what's changed in the underlying languages and frameworks. Now, usually because you might not be at the level to really fully appreciate them, they get to show you the things you don't know, and that's the most important thing you need, right? You need to know the right things to go and Google. So they tell you those things that you need to go and Google, and then you just like from the habit of continuing to go Google those things that there. So like look for more PHP podcasts apart from like Claracast. Find PHP communities that you should join, and then once you are within those knowledge loop or knowledge mix, try as much as possible to make a culture of knowing everything that is presented in front of you that you don't know. So once you come across something you don't know, go look it up, go read. And it's a accumulation of like really small things, really small Googles, and then you just find out that like 4 to 5 months you know all those things that you didn't know. Like wow, you now know. So that's, to me, that's a really quick way.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. It's been wonderful having questions, and then we should thank you, the experts, for joining in. So we're going off now. The session will be back by 3 p.m. for Android developers here, or if you feel like joining in, I'll share the link in the description within the next 10 to 5 minutes. So thank you very much for joining in. So see
amazing.
you in the
Thank you
afternoon.
too.
Yeah.
Before you break, thank you too for having us. Really, I've learned as much from Aisha as they might have learned from me. It's been really great here listening to Aisha and you. Wow, listening to you guys' experiences too. It's added like new dimension, reinforced some things, like open up new areas and things. So yes, this has been a really worthwhile hour. So thank you too for having us.
Okay,
Thank you.